Thank you for tuning into She-Fi, a web series that discusses science fiction TV shows, movies, etc. from a woman's point of view.
Hi.
I'm your co-host, Amy.
I'm Sarah. And this week we're going to be talking about Heroes Reborn. It's the continuation of Heroes, and it premiered on the 24th.
Hello, Noah. It's coming. And when it does, everything changes.
At the very beginning, you see Noah Bennett, also known as HRG. It's kind of like a Forrest Gump scene. He's sitting there on a park bench, but without a box of chocolates, he's got an apple instead. And I think Tim Kring, the creator, does a lot of interesting symbolism. And I really think if you've watched the original Heroes, that HRG is a character that's kind of like in the midst, the center of everything that's going on in the series, and he's the character that's in control and knows everything that's happening. But when we come to this Heroes Reborn, he's got his memories erased. And so he's kind of more like Forrest Gump in that way, at least in the beginning. So I think it's a very interesting thing that Tim Kring does with symbolism there, starting the show that way. We also see him kind of giving a monologue about his relationship with Claire and how much he loves her. And it just kind of reminds us about who this character is. On one end, he's a character, I consider him the Gaius Baltar of Heroes.
No more Mr. Nice Gaius!
Because he's well-meaning, he wants what's in everyone's best interest, but he uses morally gray actions in order to protect his daughter or to protect the world.
I'm comfortable with morally gray.
There's kind of a theme throughout the first two episodes, which is important to note too. There have been 2 episodes released already. There's a theme that runs through it of sort of this xenophobia, this fear of people who are different. People who have powers are now known as Evos, and early in the first episode, a group of them are talking, and they mention how they have to register as Evos, and some of them are trying to get fake IDs and fake blood samples to sort of drop off the radar. And this is really interesting because you see similar themes going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., towards the end of the last season, we see a lot of this going on with Skye/Daisy. When her powers first manifest, she kind of tries to hide them because she's afraid that people will be afraid of her, will treat her differently. And now that coming up in the next season, more and more people are going to be discovering their powers, we sort of expect that to be a theme, that there are going to be people who are afraid or distrustful of Inhumans. in Heroes Reborn, they're called Evos, and S.H.I.E.L.D., they're called Inhumans. And then in Captain America Civil War coming up in the spring, of course, the whole schism there between Iron Man and Captain America is whether people with powers should have to register. And in Heroes Reborn, we're already seeing that they do have to register. So this sort of, this theme of being afraid of people who are different, this sort of xenophobia, seems to be something that's running sort of throughout the sci-fi world right now.
I think it best we keep in mind the unstable nature of Skye's power.
In talking about themes that are found in Heroes Reborn, there was a quote from one of the characters that says, "It doesn't matter how ordinary you think you are, or how much of a screw-up you think you've been, we all have the potential to be heroes."
And speaking of superpowers, one of the things that we noticed that sort of seems like a plot hole, and maybe they'll explain it more later on, is Noah, the guy with the horn-rimmed glasses, seems to think that Claire was killed in a terrorist attack in Odessa, but why would he think that she was killed? She has the ability to heal. This isn't really explained. Amy, did you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I was wondering that same thing. I'm like, well, in the first episode, they made it sound like she was dead. I'm like,
yeah,
because she was in the bombing. But we've seen her come out of burning buildings. We've seen her like die and come back to life.
We've seen her get shot and come back to life. We've seen her get like beaten and come back to life.
The only thing I think they're trying to do is because I assume they couldn't get Hayden Panettiere to come back and reprise the role as Claire, so they're trying to find a nice way to just say that she's not coming back. Yeah. It is quite a plot hole, considering that character, can just heal herself.
Yeah.
So, and we've seen her come back from the dead. So
yeah. Claire should be in the Deadpool movie, and we'd get to see whose healing factor is better.
Oh, interesting.
That would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
Daddy needs to express some rage.
So we here at She-Fi wanted to congratulate Game of Thrones for winning the Emmy for Best Drama TV Series. So that's really awesome.
Yay! Woo! So that about wraps it up for this episode of She-Fi. Next week, we're going to be covering Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I'm super excited about. There's so much exciting stuff happening with that show, with the Inhumans, with Bobby and Hunter leading up to their new series. So it's going to be tons of fun to see what happens on their premiere episode. So thanks for tuning in this week, and be sure to tune in next week for more on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.